We have Pamela Spokes, Juha Järvinen,
Hi.
my dear colleagues, and today my co-hosts.
All right, my name's Pamela Spokes. I'm originally Canadian, came to Finland a long time ago. And I'm a service designer here at Metropolia, University of Applied Sciences, and I work in the RDI team, Research, Development, and Innovation.
I'm Juha Järvinen. I'm from Metropolia as well, from the RDI team, and I've been trained as an industrial designer, but currently I work as an innovation specialist here in Metropolia, together with Hannes and Pamela in the Turbine team.
So today's topic is very interesting topic, and also an online product launch of service design sprint that all of us have been working on in the past 1 year and even a bit more.
Well, first you generally need to kind of define what a service is, right? Because people, when you talk about service, people generally immediately jump to customer service. So especially when you're talking about companies and you're talking about service, that is the default probably in like 90% of people's minds. So basically a service is something that just helps a person do something else or to create a certain outcome. Mm-hmm. So, something as simple as getting your electricity bill is a service that the company provides to you. It allows you to see your usage. It allows you to have a method of payment. There are many things that are actually happening, many different services that are happening with that one piece of paper or that email PDF that you're getting from that company. And some are better than others. You can tell that when you change service providers in anything. Some have more detail, some have more understandable detail. Some of them put it in lay terms. Some of them just tell you about your kilowatts that you have used without explaining what that even means or what time of day or if any of this even matters. So, when you want to do something, when you want to pay your bill, when you want to understand your electricity usage, all of these are services that the electricity company provides to you. And so service design is really about how do we make those services so that they reflect the needs of the customer, how do they understand the customer and fit into a way that they would like to do something, and how will they understand what it is that they're doing, and the company understands what it is that you're trying to do. What is that something that you want to achieve? So, in the service design process itself is really the design thinking process applied in a service context, right? So it gives you kind of like a focus that you're moving towards. So here we're looking at, this is what is called the double diamond. So this is the British Design Council's model of the design process. And in here, there's many different layers to this. You can see that the very first point on there is the general problem. So kind of, what is it that you're seeing? Are you getting a lot of customer service calls that are asking a very specific thing, like I don't understand my bill. Can you explain this to me? That's a problem. But at that point, you don't know what the exact problem is. You don't know what the problem with the bill is. So, the first part of the double diamond is to do your research. Start interviewing these people that have called and find out, ask them questions. What are the things that are not understandable? How would you, understand this better? What makes more sense to you, right? So asking them questions. And, once you've done that and you've gathered all the insights that you can really start defining what the specific problem is. Maybe the terminology you're using is just too technical and it's not something that general people understand. Maybe it's the layout. Maybe it doesn't make logical sense, right? So you can kind of move through this process. So once you've gathered your insights and you've kind of like taken them down to the specific problem, then you can start creating ideas on how to fix that, create different layouts, create different, use different terminology, figure out what lay people call things. You can do more research on that if you haven't done that yet. So, but with the ideation, you're just kind of throwing out a bunch of ideas, good, bad, ugly ideas. They're all good. And then see what you come out with then. And then you kind of you start narrowing those down and decide to prototype a certain, maybe you have 2 or 3 different versions that you want to prototype. You can A/B test those with some potential customers or with people that were included in the process earlier, or you can just start sending out bills and see which bills get more customer service calls.
Yeah.
There's all different kinds of ways to prototype and test things.
Yeah.
And so that by then you have this specific solution. You'll know what works and what doesn't work. Yeah.
By the way, one can utilize this kind of a process in solving any problem, and not only service problems. Talking about, of course, the same applies to industrial design or anything that's tangible, or even in your life. If you're encountering problems, you could use this kind of thinking in solving, well, not everything, but some, everyday problems.
But you can also use this for, if you want to, think about your career, right? Do some research into the skills that you have. Where could your skills be utilized? You got to you get a whole bunch of different job places. Then you look at the ones, what would be interesting for me? And then you kind of like pull out the ones that would be interesting. So then you start ideating, okay, how do I start looking for these kinds of jobs? And then, create your CV. And so like I said, this isn't the service design process. This is the design thinking process.
Yep. Right.
So that's the difference. It's just, this is the design thinking process applied in the service context, but you can apply it in many, many different contexts. One of the things I wanted to make sure that we said was that, I gave an example of a bill, but it could also be about how a service works in a coffee shop, right?
Yep.
It doesn't matter if it's a physical service or if it's a digital service or, some service in between, whatever that might be, or it might be in a hospital, or all of these places can use service design, and all of these places need service design.
And also to add on that, you can also use this when you're developing the services, like as you mentioned, the coffee shop. Not only the existing process, but also a process to be.
Or for
whether it's any way profitable to start that kind of a business in order to find out the kind of painful points from there.
Well, this actually goes back to, one of the most common discussions or points made in service design is that when someone goes to buy a drill, they don't want the drill, they want the hole in their wall.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so that goes to show you, I'm buying a product to give me a service.
Yeah.
This is a great example, like a very common example. You might have heard it, but it's just speaks truth. Here, the viewers can see there's a service design sprint.fi and a service design sprint massive open line course that we have been building, and now it's public. So we're happy to announce that it's open, it's public. You can go and start taking the course, complete it, but also return back to the course if you've found certain components or subjects valuable.
In the foundation section, this is where you'll find kind of like the basic introductions. You have the entrepreneurial mindset. These are the 9 different kind of ways of thinking that you can kind of practice yourself to become, more entrepreneurial, more open-minded, more growth mindset type of person. And then the introductions into design thinking. So basically what we've just gone through, the design thinking process. So it's really kind of setting the foundations that you'll need in order to use the tools and the methods that come later on. Of course, this is called service design sprint, right? And a design sprint is basically like a 5-day process in which you take an idea or take a problem and you go through in 5 days and create by the end of it, you create a testable prototype. So then it's really about taking that one specific problem that you know you have and using the 5 days to come up with a solution. So you'll learn the design sprint. This was created by Jake Knapp, and there's a great book called Sprint. So you can read this book, get some kind of certification in the design sprint process. So I have their design sprint. I am technically a design sprint master. It's based on this book. It's partly taught by Jake Knapp, who wrote the book, who worked at Google. I think he worked at Microsoft at some point. And this is the process that he developed at Google Ventures.
Yep.
So.
And when I read the book, I remember that the design sprint process was created to help Google Ventures. So companies that Google has invested, and they wanted to help those companies to achieve more explosive growth, in a sense.
We just looked at different collaboration tools because, of course, people need to know how to collaborate when they're not in the same place. So here we looked at, online collaboration tools, whether it's Miro or Mural. There's even some Google products, these Jamboards, and you can even, if you really need to, you can do this on slides. You can have a design thinking session workshop on slides.
Do you think that it lowers the threshold for people to say something? Because we all know how awkward it was during the primary school times to go in the front of the class and write something on the whiteboard or table with the chalk or whatever means. And now people they have some kind of a privacy they can work with through their laptops and so on. So
I would say yes and no. If you are running like ideation session properly, people don't need to worry about that anyway. Right? If everybody's Post-it notes are the same color and everybody's using the same style of pen, you can write ideas and stick them up and nobody knows whose ideas are whose. And you're not actually physically talking about them. So this is all about keeping your customer at the center of what you do and making sure that this person is, really guiding the decisions that you're making. So basically, your customer research, you have to deep dive into your customer research to understand who these people are. Yeah, so this is all the different ways that you can kind of use the desk research to inform you for what's happening with your customer, what is going to happen with your company.
Yeah, very important. I remember we did cover pestle analysis and similar principles in our business school. Just have to come across to these issues firsthand, and after that you start to realize that like now I can probably see the value of actually using these tools or extensions of thinking, which all of these are basically extensions of our thinking. So that was about the secondary research.
Yeah, and then of course the primary research is all the research that you do by yourself. And all of this will lead you to building your persona. So that the information that you get from the people, you will kind of pull out, tease out, gather your insights, and that will give you kind of this fictional representation of a group of people. It's not even like one person, it's a group of people where you'll understand what their motivations are and what they value and the things that will drive them to either purchase your service or product. So that you find out, motivators and drivers you find out through the research, and you can build your personas based on that. Yeah, and then the big thing, the kind of customer journey, one of the kind of most recognizable things that service designers create are customer journey maps. They, think about it. They put it in their shopping cart, and then they think about it again, and then they
leave it over there.
Exactly.
That's what I do. I put something in the shopping cart, and in the morning I think, I discard it. I don't need it yet,
Yeah.
or I
Yeah.
don't have the financial means to
Yeah.
buy it. So,
And
yeah.
and you know, if you're doing this properly, you interview Juha and you find out what were those things that were making you leave it in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I can find out that you're just like humming and hawing, so then maybe I can put a trigger in that says if you buy this in the next 5 minutes, you get 10% off.
Okay, that's a
Right?
bargain.
Yeah, ideation. These are different
Concepts.
ways. Yep, turning ideas into concepts.
True.
Just making sure that everybody understands there's no bad ideas. You know, at the beginning, the last thing you want to do is edit yourself because there might be a spark of genius in there somewhere that sounds ridiculous, but you can kind of like pull it back or mix it with another idea and it becomes something really amazing. Here, when you're building something that is either for your company or for a company that you want to create, it's really important that you actually make money. 'Cause
True.
yeah. So it's important, you know, that you get your idea down from a business perspective. And here we've created the Metropolia business model canvas. And we've taken, you know, like the basic business model canvas that was created by Alex, is it Osterwald?
Osterwalder,
Yeah,
yes.
Osterwalder,
Yeah.
yeah. And for us, what's really centrally important for Metropolia is sustainability. And that's in our that's one of our guiding lights. And so we've taken this Metropolia business model canvas and we've added in a sustainability perspective to it. So looking at the different parts. So we've actually added in a few extra parts here. So the original has 9, this one has 12. And here we're looking at the product end of life. We are looking at the key metrics that are going to be used to determine whether, you know, whether we're successful or not in doing this. And then there was, the objective. So what is the purpose behind creating this business? And this is just to keep it clear to everybody. You know, if the objective is to make us money, then write that down. If the objective is to be more sustainable in a certain industry, put that down. The business model canvas is basically to have your whole team on the same page so you're moving in the same direction.
The moment I believe that service design is like a common language, like how notes are common language amongst musicians. So yeah, this is basically a type of like a template, common language among businesses or business people, product developers, designers, service providers.
Well, this is really the great thing about service design from my perspective is that, you know, as a service designer, I don't have to be an expert in any industry. My role is to go in and to kind of guide, facilitate the experts. Right? So it's a process that I could go into a forestry company, I could go into an electricity company, I could go into a fashion design business, and I can use this same process with all of them. Prototyping. Everybody needs to be prototyping. So this is how you save your company time and money, human resource, all the things that you need to be saving. And, you know, prototyping it's a wide array of different styles that you can use depending on what it is that you are prototyping. So oftentimes, especially in startups, people will invest so much time and effort into creating their first version of what it is that they're creating. They'll spend 6 months in a room coding something. And then they come out and they present their baby to the world, and the world's like, oh.
I'm sorry.
No one gets it.
Yeah. Starting small, making sure that it works, making sure it's what people expect, making sure people understand what it is you're even trying to do. You know, you start off with something really, really simple. Yeah, I remember being at Flux and they had one sticker on the wall and it said, it was a quote. I don't even know who said it, but it said, if you're not embarrassed by your first product or service, you launch too late.
There's always space for improvement.
This is a very the short snapshot of like what and status update in a sense that what has been done, what has been we've been working on in the past, and what we've been able to deliver. That's very important to make it clear, and also to be transparent about our progress so far.
The course is open currently.
Yep.
And the web, so any of our audience, feel free to try and start making more profit with service design sprint course.
Yep.
Exactly.
One thing I would say is this is kind of topical because today is Service Design Day internationally.
Ooh.
So
that's worth mentioning then.
So basically, all over the world, people are celebrating service design today. So the Service Design Network, it's a global organization. We have a Finnish chapter here that I'm on, kind of like the organizing board, and so we're celebrating that today. That's going to be a fun festival.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of things happening also in the service design scene in Finland. Thank you, Pamela and Juha, for joining me to the stream, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.